Hey, welcome to this June 4th edition of CNN Student News. I'm Carl Azuz. Thank you for watching our penultimate program of the 2014-2015 school year. We're starting today in Boston, Massachusetts, where law enforcement officials shot and killed a terrorism suspect earlier this week. They've been monitoring Usama Rahim for years. An official says the FBI noticed a change in his behavior recently. That prompted authorities to approach him outside a drugstore on Tuesday morning. Investigators say Rahim was planning to randomly kill police officers. The FBI says it doesn't think there's any concern for public safety at this point. There has been another arrest in the case.
Today, in Everett, Massachusetts, man in custody. Police making the arrest last night in connection with the fatal shooting of a terror suspect in Boston by police Tuesday morning. It all began around 7 in the morning when the FBI and Boston police descended on this CVS, aiming to question the suspect, 26-year-old Usama Rahim.
Yep, gentleman, black male, 60, coming out armed with a knife.
Rahim had been under 24-hour surveillance by the Joint Terrorism Task Force, radicalized, according to one official, by ISIS and other extremist influences. The FBI says Rahim made threats against police on social media.
It's shot five units. Shot five.
When officers approached him, Rahim lunged at them with this knife, authorities say, before a federal agent and Boston police officer fired, hitting him in the torso and abdomen.
The officers gave several commands for him to drop the weapon, and unfortunately, he came at the officers, and they do what they were trained to do, and unfortunately, they had to take a life, and that's never an easy decision for any officer to do.
The foundational teachings of Islam.
Rahim's brother, an imam at a mosque in California, paints a different picture, saying on social media that his younger brother was on his cell phone with their father, waiting for the bus when he was confronted by police and shot in the back 3 times. He says his brother's last words were, "I can't breathe." The shooting is now under investigation, and Boston police say they have a video documenting the entire event.
We saw the video. It appears that the law enforcement officers were backing away before they exercised deadly force.
Yesterday, police showed community leaders surveillance video of the shooting. Afterward, they said Rahim was not on the phone when he was shot and that he was not shot in the back. Updating you now on political news. There are 2 new names on the list for the 2016 U.S. presidential race. Martin O'Malley launched his presidential campaign on May 30th. He's the former governor of Maryland, former mayor of Baltimore, and he's seeking the nomination for the Democratic Party. Lindsey Graham made his campaign official on June 1st. He's a U.S. senator from South Carolina, and he's seeking the nomination for the Republican Party. So the field is widening. There are now 3 Democrats who are officially candidates. 9 Republicans are officially running. The primaries and caucuses will determine the one candidate from each major party who will be on the 2016 presidential ballot. Anyone who knows the capital of Ghana knows the location of the 3rd school in today's Call of the Roll. We're starting in the Palmetto State of South Carolina. It's where the Knights are watching today at Stratford High School in Goose Creek. The Black Knights are also online in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Shout out to Point Pleasant Junior-Senior High School. And in the Ghanaian capital of Accra, hello to everyone watching at Lincoln Community School, representing West Africa. Sticking with the subject of geography, the Torres Strait is located between Papua New Guinea and Northeast Australia. There's a fish that's appeared there recently, an invasive species that authorities are hoping will never make it to the Australian mainland.
They're actually able to pull themselves out of a waterhole and move across land into the next waterhole. They are eaten by larger fish, barramundi and birds, that they then can become lodged in the throat of those species. So that's where the problem lies.
When he was a student in India, Adarsh Alphonse got in some serious trouble for doodling. But he kept on drawing and eventually found himself commissioned to do a painting for Pope John Paul II. When he moved to New York, Alphonse was troubled to find that almost 30% of public schools didn't have a full-time art teacher. So he opened up free classes.
Art has a power to let children discover who they are. Every child needs to have space for them to create. When I moved to New York City, I noticed that access to arts education was lacking. I decided we need to be the ones to put paintbrushes in the hands of kids. We opened art classes in public libraries that are near the schools that need us most.
You look like you're on a roll here. What's going on?
I'm drawing a foxy.
Our goal is not to create artists. Our goal is to let kids discover themselves.
I use art as an escape. I do look forward to coming here every week. On most occasions, I persuade them to let us stay longer.
See where you can take it, right?
After we bring art into their lives, they become more confident. The changes are quite remarkable.
Here it is.
At the end of every semester, we showcase the students' artwork in contemporary art galleries in New York's art district.
I tried to use some water to make it darker and some blue for the water. When I saw my artwork in a real gallery, I feel proud of myself.
Jada, that's amazing.
I hope it sets a spark that it's okay to chase after your dreams, but you should go after it boldly and fearlessly, and that anything is possible.
#1 movie at the U.S. box office right now is San Andreas. It's a disaster film starring a massive earthquake. It also stars The Rock, so that's kind of like a built-in pun. But exactly how realistic is this work of fiction? CNN's Jeannie Mose spoke to a seismologist.
A tsunami bearing down on the Golden Gate Bridge, skyscrapers collapsing. Can't fault an earthquake blockbuster for going a little overboard. And before it falls through the cracks, CNN and the film studio are both owned by Time Warner. How does a seismologist size up San Andreas?
I'd definitely give it 2 thumbs up. They had me on my edge of my seat.
And the tsunami really had scientists rolling their eyes.
Oh, it's way too big.
It's all a question of magnitude, 9.6 according to the movie, but the San Andreas fault isn't deep or long enough to generate that big of a quake. 2 cities get hit. Could you lose both cities, San Francisco and LA?
I think it's highly, highly, highly unlikely.
Could the Hoover Dam collapse?
No, I think the Hoover Dam's safe. We all laughed at that scene and said, there's water behind the Hoover Dam?
That's a little dry humor about the drought. Seismologist Dr. Lucy Jones posed with The Rock at the movie's premiere, then live tweeted scientific inaccuracies. When The Rock approaches the gaping fault line, Dr. Jones tweeted, "OMG, a chasm? If the fault could open up, there'd be no friction. With no friction, there'd be no earthquake." But there's one thing the scientists love.
Under the table! Drop, cover, and hold on!
The movie repeats the duck, cover, and hold on mantra experts recommend. And if it makes people prepare, what's a little earthquackery?
So maybe there's a little cinemagic here and there that seemed too special effected for seismologists who decided it didn't size up. But as long as the science isn't deafening, it's certainly something Hollywood approve of. I'm Carl Azuz, keeping it reel to reel for CNN Student News.